Hi everyone. Contrary to the general misconception, predators attack people not because they're bloodthirsty, but just for self-preservation. Such an attack can be provoked by a person stepping in a predator's territory or by disrespectful attitude. In any case, biologists argue that any aggressive behavior is almost always provoked. However, there are these so-called man-eaters, the animals who attack humans only because they're thirsty for human blood. But are they really? Today, we will tell you about 8 animals that preyed exclusively on humans and intimidated entire settlements, and explain why they did that. Let's get it on. The crocodile Gustav from Burundi. This legendary Nile crocodile lives in a distant African country called Burundi. He's over 60 years old, and he's known throughout the world for his bloodthirstiness. For the locals, Gustav is a creature of mythical significance. They fear him, worship him, and call him the demon crocodile of Burundi. Throughout his life, the croc killed about 300 people who had the misfortune to walk near the banks of the Ruzizi River and Lake Tanganyika. According to eyewitnesses, Gustav does not eat his victims, but simply leaves them at the crime scene. Gustav is believed to be one of the largest crocodiles in the world as well. Its length is at least 6 meters, and it weighs more than a ton. The reptile can be easily identified not only by its gigantic size, but also by the numerous bullet scars throughout its body. All these injuries are most likely associated with numerous failed attempts to deal with the man-eating crocodile. But what is the reason of such bloodthirsty behavior? Some experts believe that this is due to the size of the animal. It's possible that his impressive size doesn't allow him to hunt prey typical of his species, such as large fish or antelopes, which is why Gustav has to choose larger mammals. The crocodile even hunts hippos, and usually crocodiles prefer not to mess with them. Other locals claim that Gustav's love for human flesh is explained by the fact that for many years of continuous civil wars in Burundi, he ate bodies that the locals simply dumped into the local reservoirs. In any case, squads of researchers and journalists have already tried to capture Gustav, but with no success. According to the locals, the crocodile is still alive and continues its ruthless hunt for large prey. Sharks from New Jersey. Yep, today we know that it's better to stay away from sharks, especially great white ones. But 100 years ago, few people knew how dangerous they could be for humans, and the sharks didn't give much reason to be afraid of them. That all changed in the hot summer of 1916 in New Jersey, when 4 people died after a series of shark attacks. By the way, this incident was the inspiration for the novel and the movie Jaws, directed by the legendary Steven Spielberg. Charles Van Sant was the first victim of the local sharks. He was attacked by an ocean monster in shallow water while he was swimming with his dog. When the man was dragged ashore, it turned out that his femoral artery and leg were torn. Unfortunately, Charles didn't survive. The second victim was then attacked 5 days later, this time further away from the coast. And the other 2 were attacked in the river near the city of Madavon, 24 kilometers away from the sea coast. Obviously, no one expected shark attacks here. However, they did happen and left 2 people dead and 1 wounded. Of course, after everything that happened between the 1st and the 12th of July 1916, the entire coast of New Jersey was in a panic. The media didn't mention sharks were involved in these attacks in order to avoid greater unrest. At that time, almost no one knew how dangerous sharks were. These animals were perceived as helpless and fearful. Of course, after the tragedies in New Jersey, the attitude towards the sharks changed dramatically. The Beast of Gevaudan. Meet the most mysterious hero of French folklore, who killed at least 200 people in the period from 1764 to 1767. The beast that consistently exterminated the people from Gevaudan province in the south of France was never identified. Some even believe it was a werewolf. The thing is that the beast was the size of a cow, but looked like a wolf. He had a wide chest, a long flexible tail with a tassel, an elongated muzzle, and sharp fangs. It should be noted that this monster didn't just kill because it was hungry. This could at least somehow justify the atrocities. There were a lot of cattle to prey on, but the beast continued to kill humans. Moreover, it killed his prey in especially sophisticated ways, aiming for the head and neck. Many hunters tried to exterminate the Gevaudan beast, but instead killed a huge number of local wolves. The beast was killed only in 1767, and according to rumors, it was shot with a silver bullet. So, who was that legendary beast? Based on the evidence of the hunters who caught it, scientists believe that they were talking about a saber-toothed tiger or a long-extinct Andrewsarchus. Some claim that this could be a hyena, or, for example, an Asian lion. But why did the predator kill people? There are many theories about this, but the most common of them links the attacks of the beast with the gloomy forester from Gevaudan, Antoine Chastel. There is a lot of evidence of his involvement in the tragedies: human traces found near the victims, no beast attacks when Chastel was away from his post, and his instant disappearance from the city after the beast was killed. Chastel spent more than a year in Africa, so he could have brought some weird beast to France, trained it, and forced him to hunt people. The Tsavo man-eaters. Yes, lions are huge and powerful kings of the jungle, but they don't usually attack people unprovoked. However, there are some exceptions. According to various sources, these two predators killed from 28 to 135 people, earning the nickname man-eater lions. They lived at the end of the 19th century and hunted on the territory of present-day Kenya near the Tsavo River. Most of the time they killed workers who were building a bridge across this reservoir. The animals were quite smart too. They waited until the workers went to their tents after a hard day and fell asleep, and then attacked the helpless victims. After several months of fear and panic, both lions were shot. When the animals were brought to the Field Museum of Natural History in Chicago, scientists from all corners of the world began a detailed study of their bodies. After they analyzed the behavior and organism of the man-eater lions, they came up with some theories about their aggressiveness. Among them is a lack of regular food like cattle and problems with the teeth and jaws. Sankebetsu brown bear. No one would call the beast named Kesagake harmless. At the end of 1915, he'd killed 7 people in the Japanese village of Sankebetsu, which is located about 11 kilometers off the west coast of Hokkaido. It all started when this huge beast woke up from hibernation and went to the nearest village in search of food. But when he saw people, he immediately ran away. 10 days later, Kesagake came back and encountered armed local people who wanted to deal with the beast once and for all. The bear was shot, but he still survived. In any case, he will definitely not return here now, thought the locals, and soon forgot about the giant bear. But they shouldn't have. Unfortunately, in a couple of weeks, the bear appeared in the village again, this time much more furious. He killed the wife and child of a local farmer. Then in just 5 days, from the 9th to the 14th of December, Kesagake killed 7 people. Only with the help of an experienced hunter, Yamamoto, the bear was tracked and killed. The Champawat tiger. Did you know that out of all cat species, the tigers attack people the most often? It's believed that throughout the entire history of the coexistence of this species with humans, tigers have killed about 380,000 people. Well, this bloodthirsty tigress, who preyed on people in Nepal and then in India, made a considerable contribution to this figure. This story happened during the last years of the 19th century and the first years of the 20th century. The animal was responsible for an estimated 436 deaths. The tigress started to attack people out of nowhere. Dozens of people began to disappear in the jungles. Hunters were sent in to kill the tiger, but she managed to evade them all. Eventually, the Nepalese army was called in. However, even they failed to catch the predator. The animal simply abandoned Nepal for India, and then a real bloody feast began. The tigress walked around the local villages in broad daylight, attacking everyone in her way. It was only in 1907 that the famous English hunter Jim Corbett managed to kill the animal. The Leopard of Rudraprayag. Another bloodthirsty wild cat, a leopard from the Indian district of Rudraprayag, ate at least 125 people from 1918 to 1926. Nothing could stop this leopard. At some point, the locals stopped even leaving their houses at night, but this did not help. The leopard got right into the human houses, which as a rule had very fragile walls, often made of straw. People tried to catch this predator for several years. Soldiers tried to shoot and ambush the animal, but every time the leopard escaped. The predator was killed in 1926 by the same hunter we mentioned just before, Jim Corbett. Lions from Najambe. As a rule, healthy lions in adequate living conditions feed on antelopes, zebras, and other herbivores, occasionally attacking giraffes or elephants. However, there are some exceptions. Perhaps the worst incident happened in Tanzania in 1932. Back then, the lion pride with more than 24 predators killed about 1,500 people from the local Najambe tribe. The locals even came up with a legend that says the pride was allegedly controlled by a certain shaman who decided to set the lions on the inhabitants of the village, but the reasons for this behavior are much more prosaic. According to the doctors who studied the bodies of the lions after they were killed by the hunter George Rushby, many man-eater lions suffered from problems with their teeth. They simply couldn't catch quicker prey, which most likely explains their gastronomic inclinations. Psst, dude, are you looking for new technologies and great gadgets? Are your thoughts focused on the future? Do you love huge vehicles and can't imagine your life without robots around you? Then visit TechZone and you'll find all this and more. The link is in the description. You interested? Great.